Welcome back, Marketing Mavens. You're tuned into the Marketing Science Lab podcast, where we dissect the latest research to bring you cutting edge insights from the world of marketing.
That's right. And boy, do we have a juicy episode for you today. We're diving deep into the world of influencer marketing, and let me tell you, this meta-analysis is about to shake things up.
Absolutely. We're looking at a study published in Social Media Plus Society that analyzed 39 experimental studies with over 13,000 participants. It's a treasure trove of data on the effectiveness of social media influencers compared to both brand-only advertising and celebrity endorsements.
This research is like the holy grail for marketers trying to navigate the influencer landscape. So, shall we dive in?
Let's do it. First things first, the study confirmed what many of us have suspected: social media influencers, SMIs, actually outperform brand-only advertising. It's a small but significant edge.
Oh, I can already hear the sighs of relief from marketing managers who've been trying to justify their influencer budgets. But here's where it gets really interesting. When comparing SMIs to celebrity endorsers, there was no significant difference overall.
That's right. It seems the playing field between influencers and celebrities is more level than we might have thought. But before we jump to any conclusions, there's more to unpack here.
Isn't there always? It's like one of those Russian nesting dolls. You open it up and there's another layer of complexity inside.
That's a perfect analogy. Let's start with the biggest doll, influencer size. The study broke down influencers into different categories based on follower count, and the results are fascinating.
So what was the result?
Well, it turns out that nano-influencers, those with less than 10,000 followers, actually underperformed compared to celebrity endorsers. But on the flip side, mega influencers with over 1 million followers pack more punch than celebrities.
Wait. Are you telling me that bigger is actually better in this case? That goes against everything we've been hearing about the power of micro-influencers.
It's not quite that simple. The study suggests there's a sweet spot, a Goldilocks zone, if you will, where influencers have enough followers to rival a celebrity's reach, but still maintain that relatability and perceived credibility that makes them effective.
The elusive Goldilocks zone, not too big, not too small, but just right. It's like finding the perfect avocado at the grocery store.
I'm not sure I'd compare influencer marketing to Purdue shopping, but I see where you're going with that. The key takeaway here is that size does matter, but it's not the only factor at play.
Right, because the study also found that credibility is a huge factor. When influencers are perceived as more credible than celebrities, they become even more persuasive. It's all about trust.
Exactly. This credibility factor is crucial. It suggests that building authentic relationships and trust with their audience can make influencers more powerful than traditional celebrities.
So it's not just about follower count, it's about connection. I'm picturing a mega influencer with millions of followers, but who still responds to comments and feels like a friend to their audience. That's the sweet spot, right?
You've hit the nail on the head. It's this combination of reach and relatability that seems to be the secret sauce of influencer effectiveness.
Okay, so let's break this down for our listeners. What are the actionable takeaways here? How can marketers apply these insights to their influencer strategies?
Great question. First, I'd say don't dismiss influencer marketing if you haven't tried it yet. This study shows it can be more effective than traditional brand advertising.
Absolutely. And don't just go for the biggest names you can afford. Consider a mix of influencer sizes that align with your campaign goals.
Right? If you're looking for broad reach, mega influencers might be worth the investment, but don't forget about mid-tier influencers who might have that perfect balance of reach and credibility.
And speaking of credibility, that's something marketers really need to focus on when selecting influencers. I look for those who have genuine connections with their audience and align well with your brand values.
Definitely, it's also worth noting that influencer effectiveness isn't static. As they gain followers, their impact may change. So, marketers need to stay agile and be ready to adapt their strategies.
Oh, that's a great point. It's like influencers have their own life cycle. They start as relatable peers, grow into micro-celebrities, and some even become full-blown brands themselves. Marketers need to be aware of where their chosen influencers are in this cycle.
Exactly. And this Brings us to an interesting question. Is there a point where an influencer becomes too big or too brand like to be effective?
Oh, that's a juicy one. It's like asking if a tree can grow too tall. I suppose there might be a tipping point where an influencer loses that relatability factor that made them effective in the first place.
It's certainly something to consider. This study suggests that mega influencers can be very effective, but it doesn't tell us if there's an upper limit to that effectiveness.
I guess that's where the art of marketing comes in, being able to read these trends and make strategic decisions. It's not just about the data, it's about understanding the nuances of human connection in the digital age.
Well said, this research gives us a solid foundation, but there's still plenty of room for marketers to experiment and innovate.
Speaking of experimenting, I'd love to hear from our listeners about this. Have you seen similar trends in your influencer campaigns? What's been your experience with different influencer sizes?
Great idea. Listeners, feel free to drop your thoughts in the comments or hit us up on social media. We'd love to keep this conversation going.
And remember, while this research gives us some great insights, every brand and campaign is unique. Don't be afraid to test different approaches and see what works best for you.
Absolutely. The world of influencer marketing is constantly evolving, and staying curious and adaptable is key to success.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty influenced by this research. Haha. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Nice one. I'd just say that this study really underscores the power of influencer marketing when done right. It's not just a fad, it's a powerful tool that, when used strategically, can rival or even surpass traditional advertising methods.
Couldn't agree more. Well, folks, that's all we have time for today. We hope this deep dive into influencer effectiveness has given you some food for thought and maybe even inspired your next marketing campaign.
Thanks for tuning in to the Marketing Science Lab podcast. Until next time, keep experimenting, and may your engagement rates be ever in your favor.
And remember, in the world of marketing, the only constant is change. Stay curious, stay adaptable, and stay awesome.